Imagine pouring your heart, soul, and savings into a business only to see it crumble. What if I told you there are 5 critical mistakes that could doom your business before it even starts? Stick around, because the last one is definitely going to be a game changer that can save your entrepreneurial dream. What opportunities are we missing? You know, what plan does God have for us? What allowed fear, insecurity? All right, so first up, number one of the first and main reasons I think most people fail in this business or any other business really is the lack of market research. Guys, I've said it time and time again, you've got to do your research. You've got to find out, number one, who your target audience is going to be. You've got to find out what their needs are. You've got to find out what price range they're looking or they're shopping at. You've got to find out how much equipment you need in order to supply the demand for the services that you're offering, okay? You know, we see it all the time. People put up their equipment for sale right away. They're selling out their entire trucks or their entire, fleet of dumpsters. One of the first questions, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, why are you getting out? First of all, it's none of our business. But to be honest with you, most of the time they're getting out either A, because hopefully they're upgrading and succeeding, or B, they're just completely getting out of the business. And 9 times out of 10, from my experience and what I've seen, it's because they just didn't do the right market research. They didn't realize how much time and effort it takes to put into a business, how much money it takes to grow a business, how much literally hustle you have to put into it in order to see a business succeed. They went out and they bought 20 dumpsters or 30 dumpsters or 50 dumpsters, one truck and a trailer, and they think that just because they have that equipment that they're going to succeed, and the phone's going to ring. And that's not the way it works. So you've got to do your market research. Got to find out who your target audience is. So if you're in a small towns are going to be difficult to operate in, right? Because you probably already have an established business already taking a majority of the market share. So small towns are definitely difficult. If you're in a big town like we are here, you're combating and competing with the big boys, right? The big 3. You got Waste Management, Republic, CWD, and some other ones. But you also have cities. You're combating against cities. You've got Mesquite that does all their own trash, their own dumpsters. You've got all these other cities that are contracting with and lining their pockets, right, with payoff percentages from these big boys that exclusively are the only ones allowed to place dumpsters in those specific cities. So if you go out, you buy a truck, you buy 20, 25 dumpsters to service your city, then you find out that the city that you want to do business in is contracting exclusively with one dumpster company. Well, then you're up the creek without a paddle, right? You're shit out of luck, because you're probably not going to be able to operate in that city and you didn't do your proper market research. Take some time before you jump the gun and buy all this equipment and dive in head first. Take a little bit of time to do your research, find your audience, find your expenses, find your landfills where you're going to dump at, find your local municipality laws and rules. You're doing a good job by being here in the first place. There's a ton of free information online, and it's not just my channel. There's several other guys with very good channels that I highly recommend. Do your research, start following all these guys, eat, sleep, live, whatever your business is going to be. So number 2, in my opinion, is going to be unrealistic expectations. When we set unrealistic expectations, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking about money, whether we're talking about like hustle, grind, like this is seriously a grind. If you're an owner operator, meaning if you're going to be working yourself, doing the work, driving behind the wheel, delivering the dumpsters yourself, like this is a serious hustle. You've got to be able to expect the grind. You've got to be able to expect the hard work. Look at the guys in Florida right now. Like, shout out to all the guys in Florida working and doing hurricane relief. Like, they have busted their ass. They're still busting their ass. They're still working day in and day out to ensure that their customers are taken care of. They're putting in 16, 18, 20-hour days, delivering dumpsters every single possible chance that they can. Big shout out to Joe, Maxie, Brock, Lou, Canino over there in Florida. Those guys, and there's lots of other ones. JNZ, I know, is Florida. Metalhead Dumpsters. I always forget the guy's name with red truck and red dumpsters, but those guys are hustling out there. Big shout out to them doing that hurricane relief, storm damage. We live in a day and age where like hustle is almost like a bad word, like grit, grind, hard work. We live in an Uber age, right? Where everybody just kind of sits back and wants their handout. We're the handout, and they think that they can earn a living, and some can, I'm sure, online without putting any hard work behind things. And if you're a blue collar guy, that's not it for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a blue collar industry. To be successful here, you've got to put in the time. And so not managing your expectations as far as how much time it actually takes to make a business like this successful is a huge reason why a lot of people don't make it in this industry. So you've really got to be able to manage your expectations when it comes to starting your dumpster business.
2 hours later.
Just give me my money. Big old warehouse.
For reaching out to him.
Oh, definitely.
First time here?
First time here, yeah. Yeah, I usually don't come out here, but there was a pickup in Grand Prairie. Just give me my money. So, let's break this down. So it wasn't very heavy at all. A lot of empty space. Came in at 33,700, weighed out at 32,600. So not even a ton. So about a half a ton, 1,040 pounds. They gave me $90 a ton. I got $46.80. So not only did I make $46.80, but I also saved at least almost 50 bucks in tonnage, right? So minimum of 1 ton over at McComas. So that would have been another $45 to $50. So easily I'll walk away with 100 bucks. $46 here and $50 saved over there. So we're good. And then I saved the trip to go all the way back to McComas, and I'm literally 4.7 miles away from returning this back off. So works for me. All right, so we talked about market research and we've talked about setting realistic expectations. Now we're going to talk about insufficient capital. That's a big one for a lot of guys, and it's not necessarily just what you think, right? Obviously, trucks are expensive, dumpsters are expensive, roll-off trailers are expensive. That's one thing, that's one part. But having enough money to be able to afford the extra or the cost, the overhead that comes with your dumpster business, which would include obviously like proper insurance, right? Lots of guys are kind of flying under the radar, especially a lot of truck and trailer guys using their personal insurance instead of a commercial truck insurance. If something were to go bad, God forbid, they were in an accident, somebody was injured, you're gonna be up Shit's Creek without a paddle again, right? Make sure that, you know, you're accounting for the expenses that come along with a business, running a proper business. You're gonna have expenses like obviously your dump fees. And again, if something major happens, kind of like this hurricane in Florida, you're gonna have to come up with, hopefully you'll have some sort of capital or some sort of emergency funding where you can spend some of that money to buy more equipment right away at the last minute, something that you're able to serve your market or serve the needs of your clients. But then what a lot of guys don't consider, don't think about, is that the dumpster business, like a lot of other businesses and industries, to be honest with you, is a very seasonal business. A lot of guys will go in the winter time, me included. I went into probably my first winter doing this actually full time as a business, full-fledged. I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Like the amount of revenue that drops off from your top end because your business slows down in the wintertime is substantial, and it's enough to make people really nervous. And if you don't have that money, if you don't have reserves in place to help you during the slow time, during the slow season, you're going to be in a tough spot. You're going to probably start selling off equipment, and then next thing you know comes a busy season. It's this vicious cycle, right? It's this vicious cycle of not having enough money in the wintertime, selling off equipment. Then all of a sudden, come the busy season, come springtime, you need more dumpsters, more equipment. You go out, you spend more money, you're buying newer equipment just to do it all over again the following year. I highly suggest that if you're going into wintertime, right now we're going into wintertime, it's time to hibernate. It's time to do like the squirrels and put away those nuts. I'm talking about peanuts or acorns. I don't know what kind of nuts they actually eat, but put away those nuts. Save some money in your bank account. You should have at least 6 to 9 months in reserves, at least in your whatever your operating costs are every month on a consistent basis. Have 6 to 9 times that amount in your bank account for the wintertime, for the slow season, because it's gonna come. Now the question is, are you gonna be prepared for it or not? I'm warning you now, it's gonna be here before you know it. Next thing you know, you're gonna see all the posts on Facebook and all the Facebook groups like Dumpster Rentals 101. You're gonna see all the posts on there talking about, oh man, business is so slow. How is it on your part of the country and your part of the country? You know, we're seeing, 50% reduction in bookings and all that stuff, and they're surprised that business is slow and it's slowed down. We've all been through it. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. If at anybody, I'll point it directly at myself. But it's a tough time to go through when you're not expecting it, when you're not ready for it. So make sure you have the funds, the capital set aside for your slow season. All right, so number 4. Numero cuatro is going to be poor management. And we're not just talking about like management of employees, but we're talking about time management. We're talking about equipment management. We're talking about all kinds of time management. Look, at the end of the day, if you're an unorganized person like I am, I'm not gonna lie, I'm super unorganized. I would lose my shirt if I wasn't wearing it right now, honestly. Like, if you're really bad at organization or structure, you know, I highly suggest you getting the right type of equipment to manage your business, right? You definitely need some sort of software to manage all your dumpsters, where they're at, scheduling, not just employees, but we're talking about your time, your scheduling of your dumpsters or your drop-offs, your communication with your customers as well. So if you're an unorganized person like I am, I would definitely lose the shirt off my back if I wasn't wearing it, right? Like, literally, I need some sort of software to manage my business. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need it. You could probably do well. Some people do well with like a Google spreadsheet or something like that. More power to them. Me personally, I need some sort of structure. So that's why software like DRS comes into play, right? They definitely help me manage my schedule, my routing. If you cannot manage your routing, right? If you just think you're just gonna fly by night and just do it on a piece of paper and you hope, you know, everything falls into place, as you grow, as you scale your business, it's gonna be really hard to keep up with the demand, keep up with the promises that have been made, keep up with your customers. It's almost unmanageable for one person to be able to probably manage more than, I'd say, 5 or 10 dumpsters. That's just my opinion. That was definitely my opinion based on my own personal experience owning this business, right? There's no way, you know, you think of 10 dumpsters, how many times you can actually rent those out? Let's say on average 3 times to 4 times a month. You're talking about 30 to 40 different rentals per month, different customers, different promises that you've made as far as when you're gonna deliver it. You need to manage your time. You need to manage your business. You need to have it structured correctly. All locked up. After we just picked up this 40-yard over in Cedar Hill, total weight was 12,720 pounds, 6.36 tons, for a total of $294.66 was what I was charged. And then we charged the customer an extra 2.5 tons, so he paid about a little over $200. Not too shabby. Dumpster cost me less than $100 a dump. We're heading into the last and literally the biggest one in my eyes, right? In my opinion, as far as like the most common. And this was not really in any order other than the first one being market research and now this one. In my opinion, this one is the most common cause of not only failure, but also in the lack of growth, inability for a person to scale their business. And this just comes from like talking to hundreds of people over the years, or hundreds of other entrepreneurs over the years, right? Literally, fear can cripple us when it comes to starting, growing, and even scaling a business, and ultimately exiting a business, right? Like fear of failure, fear of losing money, or your savings, or whatever, fear of rejection, being turned down from a consumer or customer, fear of ourselves, fear of growth. There's lots of different fears that can really stop. Now, fear is good to a certain extent, right? Because fear should make you really do your research. Fear should make you really look into what you're about to do, really make you second guess or get a second opinion or whatever it may be. Fear should really force you to not just jump into things, like I said earlier, head first, but force you to look into it a little bit more. Fear should never stop you from doing what you want to do. It should never be an excuse for you to hold back. And see, so the thing is, what we should fear is not fear itself in my eyes when it comes to business, but what we should really fear is missed opportunities, because we are afraid to grow, because we are afraid to explore and go down new avenues or take new paths. When we lose the fear of money, let's say the fear of losing money, in my eyes, and you should see this the same way too at the end of the day, but in my opinion, like, money comes and goes. Money can be earned, money can be lost, of course, or you know, you could definitely lose money, but it can always be earned again. However, opportunities usually come once in a lifetime, or they're very rare and in between, right? So when you don't take an opportunity because you're scared you're gonna lose money, well, at the end of the day, like, you just lost an opportunity that might have changed your entire life because you were afraid of possibly losing out on a little bit of money. And in business, again, Like, you've got to make calculated risks, and that's all business is about, right? If you don't take risks because you're afraid to grow or because you're afraid of the risks that are involved, well then guess what? Like, you'll never grow, you'll never scale, and you'll always just kind of be stagnant, kind of just a flatline business. You've got to take those risks, but they should be calculated. Like I said, like when you're buying new equipment, at the end of the day, you've got to realize that worst case scenario, equipment can always be sold again, right? You're gonna lose a little bit of money, but if I go out and buy a new truck, or if I go out and buy, that's gonna make me money, not just a truck that I want for show. If I went out and bought a Raptor, that's a little bit different than me going out and buying a new roll-off truck, right? If I have enough business to sustain the payment for the next truck, well then that's my next step that I'm gonna take. But I have to be able to sustain and pay for the next step with what I'm currently doing. I talked about this a little bit in one of my last videos. But if I don't take that risk, if I don't scale, if I don't buy that truck moving forward or to scale my business, then I'll never be able to get to that next level, and I'll never be able to grow and scale and ultimately, you know, be a multi-million-dollar business, hopefully. We have to be able to say in our minds, these are not risks, but they're calculated risks. They're smart investments into our business or whatever it is that you're fearing. A lot of times, if you get down to the bottom of it, if you get down to why people don't grow or why people aren't growing their business or starting their business even, it almost always comes down to fear. And we have to remove that from our vocabulary. We have to remove that from our mindset. Fear should never dictate which direction you take in your business at all, whatsoever. Should never. Number one common denominator is people are scared to start the business. People are scared to start. And I say, what do you have to lose at the end of the day, right? If you've watched this entire video to this point, I've got free tickets for you. Email me at josh@AmericanAFDumpsters.com because I want to see you succeed. This is not about me making money off of ticket sales. Believe me, I've spent a lot of money on this show to make it what it's going to be. I've spent a ton of money on the keynote speakers, on equipment, on stage equipment, lighting, all that stuff. I want to make this event a lifetime changing event for you guys and for myself as well. This event will definitely set you up for success in 2025 and beyond. But if you are too scared to shut your business down for a couple days and hop on a flight out here to come out here, then I can't help you. Because if your business is slow, it's your own damn fault. There's plenty of work out there. Look at all the work there is out there to be had. This is not an industry where you can blame the economy. You can blame a little bit the economy, but there's always gonna be trash to be had, dumpsters to be rented. Quit making excuses. Quit blaming everything else but your damn self. Make some changes in your life. Quit being scared. Get your ass to the Lone Star Dumpster Showcase. And make sure you give me a like, subscribe, and smash the notification bell. I hope to see you guys in November.